Hi everybody, John Fester with a tech tip. Going to go over Windows Sandbox that's built into Windows 10, Windows 11, and let's get into it. So in the past, there was this product that you could install on Windows XP. I think is when it started. Windows 7 certainly had it. I don't know about Windows 8, but it was called something like the Windows XP virtual machine or Windows 7 virtual machine environment, something like that. And it was like an ISO that you could download, install it, configure it. And by the end of it, you had this a virtual machine that you could launch. It would boot up and you could do mostly anything in there. But it had minimal configuration. So in Windows 10, you were able to install Hyper-V, and that made things so much better. I used Hyper-V. I still use Hyper-V for a lot of things, but for all my testing and stuff, I still used Hyper-V for the majority of stuff. You know, it was super easy to keep different snapshots. You would install the OS and have a snapshot there, a base snapshot without any configuration changes, and then you would launch that, go through, test whatever, visit whatever websites you need, and then just revert back to the original snapshot when you're done. Certainly that still works. You can do it that way. Just make sure that you're doing your own research about the virtual switches, you know, what hard drive storage it's using, whether or not it can pass through certain viruses or ransomware and lock up your local host. You have to do your own research. What I found is that Windows Sandbox is so much easier. It's a lot faster. It's a quicker utility. It starts up faster. It does all the legwork for me as far as cleaning up when I'm finished, utilizing it for the moment. And so that's what I want to show you. I already have it enabled on my computer, but I'm going to show you real quick how to enable it. At the end of it, you would have to restart. We won't have to since I already have it installed. So let's take a look here. What you want to do is go to Apps and Features. In Windows 11, you'll have to add the optional feature using this utility. On Windows 10, you can still use the old method that I just launched with appwiz.cpl. Of course, you can also click on Programs and Features right up here. So you get to this window and you want to click on Turn Windows Features on or off. Scroll all the way down and you have Windows Sandbox. Now again, when you enable this, you'll have to restart and you'll be all set. No worries. A quick side note, Windows Subsystem for Linux is an amazing product. If you have not used it and you like Linux, install this. You can then subsequently install from the Microsoft Store different versions of Ubuntu, different LTSs that they have on there, like 21, 22, 23 LTS. So you can run specific versions of Ubuntu, and it's a full-fledged installation of Ubuntu. You can, on Windows 11, when you install this, you're able to navigate using a Windows Explorer back and forth between the two environments. It's superb. But anyways, I'll do a separate video about Windows Subsystem for Linux. Back to Windows Sandbox. When you enable this, if you do not have Hyper-V set up, Hyper-V Manager, then you don't have any virtual interfaces, of course. When you enable Windows Sandbox, it does set up virtual interfaces for Hyper-V, and it's called Hyper-V Virtual Interfaces, that Windows Sandbox uses. That's one component that Windows Sandbox shares with Hyper-V. So just want to mention that you don't want to delete those virtual interfaces. When you install Windows Sandbox, it will automatically create those Hyper-V virtual switches, and it'll just work. It's not going to affect your performance in any way. So after you restart, you're going to, in your start menu all the way at the bottom, you'll have Windows Sandbox. So go ahead and click on that. And one of the most amazing features of Windows Sandbox is how fast it loads. You're not having to do an installation of Windows. It's using the version of Windows that you're currently running. It might be like the previous minor version of Windows, but it's in the major release version that you are currently running. So there it is. I'm already in. Now you're able to do the majority of everything inside of here. Install applications, run a browser, run code, whatever you need to do. It automatically, when you launch this, it automatically creates a local admin inside this machine, and it calls it right there, WD AG utility account. And when you shut down this machine, it deletes it. So this is all inside of a temporary file in your local machine. I don't know what file format that file is, but it is a temporary file that when you shut this down, it wipes it out, it's gone, so you don't have a concern of infecting your local machine or this file storage that's being used when you're in here. When you first launch this, it's also grabbing, it's a dynamically expanding disk up to 40 gig. I don't believe that that's something that you can really manage, maybe in a registry key somewhere, but it's dynamically expanding, so up to 40 gig of your local disk. And again, when you shut this down, it's removing the file, this temporary file for this sandbox, and so it's freeing up that space on your local drive. Now it is getting, I believe, 4 gig of RAM from your local machine, 4 gig, and it does have access to all of the virtual processors of your CPU as well. It does not have access to your all of your GPU. Obviously, it is consuming some GPU resources off your local machine, but dedicated graphics in this environment is not being associated or consumed. So again, 40 gig, 4 gig of RAM, and then all of your CPU. So that's amazing, right? Just keep in mind, like I said, when you shut this down, it is deleting this temporary file. So it's gone, it's wiped out the environment. So if you're testing some software that requires a restart, like after installation, this is not going to be for you. You'll need to probably use Hyper-V, because the moment you shut it down, it's going to tell you even lost connection to this sandbox. You can report the issue if it closed on you erratically, or just click no because you shut it down yourself. And then the next time you launch it, it is setting up a new environment, new local admin account, that fast. You see how quick it is, and that's one of the reasons that I love this environment so much. It is superb. It is so quick and easy to come in here, do some PowerShell, test a website, and that's what I use this a lot for, is when I'm monitoring different web traffic. Sometimes you see an IP address or a domain that you don't recognize and might sound a little fishy, and instead of launching that in your physical machine, you can open this up within seconds, test out the website, test out the software, test out the command, whatever you need to do, and when you're finished, you just shut it back down and it's gone. You don't have to do any of the cleanup yourself. So it's that easy, guys. I love it. It's absolutely superb. So I hope that this comes in handy. I hope that you guys can kind of benefit from utilizing Windows Sandbox. It's free. It's just built into Windows 10 and 11, and it's definitely saved me a lot of time using it versus Hyper-V. So I hope you enjoyed this little tech tip. Enjoy your day.